This is a letter that came to us recently. The person who sent it mentions that it was from a friend of his originally from Piedras Negras, Coahuila. And honestly, when I finished reading it, I understood that many times behind someone who is involved in that world, there is still a son who misses his home, his family, and the life he could have had. The letter said the following.
Mom,
Up until now, I've been waiting for orders so I can come back. Maybe we'll laugh, cry, and sing together like we used to.
but I will always carry with me all the beautiful memories we shared.
Right from the start, something feels off. It doesn't feel like someone showing off that life or trying to look tough. It actually feels more like someone who's tired, someone who deep down knew exactly how it could all end. Then he talked about the people he used to hang out with. He said that the cartel had also become a family to him, that they took him in, gave him a home, and that those back roads where he now moved around had also become part of his life. And honestly, that part really made me think, because a lot of people on the outside don't understand how some kids end up getting into that world. Many people think it's just for money or to feel important, but sometimes it's also because they find companionship where they used to feel alone. Then he kept talking to his mom and asked her not to cry. He said he couldn't leave that life because that's where he learned to survive, to live with the idea that any day could be his last, and that made him feel alive. And even though maybe someone hears him and thinks those are the words of some wannabe tough guy, when you keep reading the letter, you realize he was really a young man who had already resigned himself to how things could end. The hardest part for me was when he started asking his mom for forgiveness. He told her that he knew perfectly well that he had been a bad son, that he hadn't only given her happy moments, but also a lot of worries, especially when they talked on the phone and she could hear him out on those back roads, or when they ran into members of a rival group. But even so, he told her how much he loved her. And then something even harder came next. He asked her that if one day they ever gave her money after his death, she should use it to help his nephew get ahead. He also asked her not to let him grow up following the same path he took. That's when I honestly had to stop reading for a few seconds because it felt like he already knew perfectly well that he wasn't going to get out of all that. Then he talked about his dad. He said he understood. He said if he didn't want to see him anymore because he had become the disappointment of the family. But even so, he said he loved them both. And I think that was another part that really hit me, because a lot of times people think that those who end up in those situations don't feel anything anymore or have completely lost their hearts. But that's not always the case. Sometimes they're just people who slowly got lost along the way. He wrote something I still clearly remember today.
Mom, if I don't come back and they don't find me, don't cry. Wherever we go, I'll be watching over you.
No. And at the end, he would sign as the one who went off the rails, or bad example, as he said some relatives called him. But the saddest part was still to come. The one who wrote the letter told his mom that if something happened to him, then he would finally get to see his sister again, who had also passed away before him. And honestly, that's when this letter stopped feeling like a simple farewell and started to feel like it was written by someone who had accepted his fate a long time ago. I'm not going to justify anything he did, much less romanticize that life, because the reality is that it almost never ends well. But after reading something like this, you do understand that behind many people who ended up going down the wrong path, there were also sons, brothers, and entire families watching how someone was slowly losing themselves. And honestly, I feel that this letter was never meant just for his mom. It also seemed like a warning for anyone who still believes that life has a good ending.